Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. There's a lot of discussion that's been going around recently regarding the upcoming COD game releasing at the end of this year, and seeing as Sledgehammer and Activision just confirmed a load of new details for us, I figured today I would go over what we know so far, what's still in kind of rumor territory, and then also address the kind of elephant in the room that I've seen people talking about this week, which is that the game may not have a zombies mode. So to begin with, Call of Duty World War II Vanguard. That's a pretty long name, in my opinion. And granted, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is also a pretty damn long name, and they just rolled with it, and it's doing absolutely fine. But what's interesting to me is that Black Ops as an IP, right, is very well known at this point. It's got a lot of history, whereas World War II only has the World War II game. Obviously, they've done other World War II games in the past, but World War II as a leading, denominating title for it all is still a fairly new thing. And so the fact that they're expanding on that, or presumably will be expanding on that name is not confirmed yet by Activision, it's just Eurogamer, Modern Warfare, etc. But their sources are pretty concrete, and so I think that we can kind of rely on that, at least for now. The fact that they're actually going with World War II Vanguard is just so interesting. Like, does this mean that they want to build that World War II universe out into something that has that same kind of prestige as Modern Warfare or as Black Ops? Like, is that something that they see in their future? And I'd be curious to hear, is it something that you guys see in their future as well? Like, did you connect with World War II in that kind of way? Or was it just yet another COD for you? The setting in terms of the kind of timeline of it is also interesting, because originally Modern Warzone reported that it was going to be set after World War II with some World War II flashbacks, and World War II itself would have ended differently. Like, maybe Germany would have won the war, the game would have been set in the 50s, and it would have been obviously a completely different geopolitical landscape, and the war itself would have gone on longer as well. Like, there would have been all these changes to what we know about the true history of the world, and that then got pushed back on by Eurogamer. They thought it was going to be a traditional World War II setting, and that, I think, aligns more with the fact that this Vanguard name is becoming more concrete now. Because ultimately, if they're trying to make an entire new IP, new franchise, new kind of foundational system based on World War II, and then straight away they go past World War II, that might put them in an awkward position later on. So the more I think about it, the more I think that Eurogamer's probably right here, which is unfortunate, because I think I would much prefer Modern Warzone's idea, or Modern Warzone's sort of like proposed way the game would be going. But unfortunately, I guess we have to wait until another Call of Duty for that, some kind of alternate history, almost like a Wolfenstein-y type thing. I just think that'd be so cool. Anyway, who's developing it? Well, we know it's Sledge now. They announced it on the Activision investor call a few days ago, so Sledgehammer Games is officially your developer, and I think that this is both a good and a bad thing, depending on your perspective, right? Because on the one hand, Sledgehammer went through a really rough period during the World War II kind of like life cycle, where a lot of their lead devs and heads of studio and stuff actually left the company and then went on to leave Activision, and there was just a little bit of an exodus, I think, from Sledgehammer. And don't get me wrong, there's always churn in the video game industry, and I think especially so with Call of Duty, from what I understand. It's not uncommon for people to join and then realize that AAA dev, especially on COD, is intense as all hell, and they get out as fast as they can, whether it's to a different studio or they just exit the industry. And so I'm not like bagging on Sledge here, being like, wow, people left the company, they must suck. But people left the company, and interestingly, flipping things around, since then, they've been doing a massive hiring spree. They've built like an entirely new studio. They've revamped their original studio, I think. I think they've got an office in Toronto now as well. Like, they've really expanded. Sledgehammer is no longer the support studio that it used to be, if you guys remember, during Modern Warfare 3. They're much, much bigger now. And that has all happened while Activision has been repurposing all of its other studios, or a lot of them, towards Call of Duty as well. Like, the focus is shifting to COD so much. Toys for Bob recently just announced that they are now working on Warzone. Vicarious Visions are now working on Call of Duty. Activision Shanghai work on Call of Duty. Beanox, Call of Duty. Demonware, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, obviously, Raven, obviously, and Treyarch, obviously. But just the list keeps expanding for all of these different dev studios, and they just all have turned to Call of Duty. No longer are they remastering Crash Bandicoot. No, sir. COD is the focus now. And based on all of that, I think it would be foolish for us to assume that things aren't going to be very different as a COD fan going forward this coming year and in upcoming years as well. Think about how things have begun to shift with Cold War. For example, you don't buy Zombies DLCs anymore. They're just free downloads. The sort of supply drop era has changed a lot. We've got a battle pass now, which is a real focus for COD and a lot of the way that they make that microtransaction money. And like every couple of weeks, couple of months, they're doing free weekends for Outbreak to try and get new players in. Outbreak exists, like that's a thing as well. So all these things are happening, and what I suspect that will mean is that when we get to Call of Duty World War II Vanguard later this year, and when we get to Call of Duties in the future as well, we're going to be seeing much stronger reliance on free-to-play models incentivized by microtransactions and stuff like that. We're going to be seeing the live service elements of Call of Duty really find their stride with live events like we're starting to see in Warzone as well, and things that were a bit more old school or a bit more how things used to work are just going to get phased out. And the reason I'm saying all this is it leads right into this point I want to make about the rumor that there isn't going to be a zombies mode in this upcoming Call of Duty title. Here's the thing. At one point, not doing a campaign in Call of Duty seemed ridiculous. The foundations of Call of Duty, if you talk to the developers from years ago, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, 8 years ago, the foundations of the game were always the campaign. The campaign dictated everything else. It was a huge amount of research, development, and time that was spent creating and crafting the campaign, and then everything else was basically layered on top. It was such a fundamental pillar of what it meant to develop a Call of Duty title, and it cost a lot of damn money to do. And then, as I'm sure you'll remember, suddenly a Call of Duty came along without a campaign, and it was like, hold on, wait a sec. Can this still work? Like, will this still sell without a campaign there? Is it only the multiplayer and the zombies that's really carrying this at this point? And it was a very interesting experiment because granted, we've gone back to campaigns now, but it just kind of goes to show that I think Call of Duty aren't afraid to try and mix and match with their working formula to optimize it and make it even better. Granted, the reason the campaign wasn't in the game that year was not purely because they wanted to optimize. They actually basically ran out of time to develop it. They were trying to do some crazy thing that Jason Blundell had kind of dreamed up in his head, but then it didn't really work out. And it was just kind of the way things sort of fell together, I suppose, that it didn't end up being there. But what I'm trying to get at here is that nothing in Call of Duty is necessarily sacred. And if Warzone became the only thing that anyone was playing, then you can bet that things like the zombies mode, if they lost all their players, would just disappear. It would just go away. The campaign, if no one was playing it, wouldn't be there anymore. It would be gone. They would not spend the time developing that if Warzone was the only thing that was succeeding for them. And what we've seen recently with Outbreak is that there is more interest for Outbreak. There was more interest for Outbreak at launch, like I said, than there was for just zombies at launch of this entire game with Cold War. And that delta is such an unbelievable number in my mind. Like, the zombies community was more hyped, and the general community was more hyped for a new side mode experiment than they were for the launch of the Dark Ether storyline, continuing directly from the basically biggest point that zombies had ever been with the culmination of Ether. It's kind of nuts to me. Like, that is such a weird statistic, but it's something that we absolutely have to pay attention to, because if Outbreak keeps eating into the kind of market share of Call of Duty Zombies players, and the Zombies mode basically becomes something that less people are interested in, then Outbreak's going to get all the focus. It's going to get all the dev attention. It's getting an Easter egg, a main quest Easter egg this month. There isn't a new mainline Zombies map coming this month. Maybe that's because their focus is more on Outbreak right now. Like, you're starting to see what I'm saying here, where the Zombies mode is just not sacred. It really just isn't. And especially with Sledgehammer Games, who made World War II Zombies, and this upcoming game is a World War II game, so maybe it would make sense for there to be continuation there, but World War II Zombies was its own start, its own unique thing. They don't have that kind of history that Treyarch have, where it's like, we have to do zombies every year. Like, I can't imagine a Treyarch game coming out with no zombies component of any kind whatsoever. Like, it's in Treyarch's studio ethos and DNA at this point. I think it's how they operate in many ways. But Sledge just don't have that as far as I'm concerned, and so it wouldn't surprise me if they looked at the kind of general landscape of things and went, nah, zombies is just not for us this year. We're just going to focus on an Outbreak style thing, or an alternative co-op mode of some kind that tries to kind of appeal to people that like Warzone because Warzone is so big, or people that liked Outbreak because Outbreak is clearly getting so big. It's obviously not on Warzone level, but you know what I mean. And this ties in with what Activision themselves said on their investor call. The Activision Blizzard COO on the call specifically said that the game is going to be built for next gen with stunning visuals across campaign, multiplayer, and cooperative modes of play. They didn't say zombies. They didn't say our new undead experience. They didn't say anything like that. They just said cooperative modes of play. And I am not here trying to say there's no chance of zombies, okay? I don't want this to be something where someone comes back in 3 months' time and goes, haha, you thought there was no zombies and look, they just announced it. I mean, if you want to do that, then go ahead. Be my guest, whatever makes you happy. But I really, truly think that it's worth us at least priming our expectations for the possibility that when they say multiplayer, campaign, and then cooperative modes of play, what they actually mean is something else. It's something that doesn't meet our expectations of what a traditional zombies mode would be. I'm not necessarily saying it's just going to be Spec Ops. They may well have tried to build out some new thing that we can all be excited about, but it may just be Spec Ops. It could literally be a couple of Spec Ops missions and they sort of fold their arms and go, I mean, it's co-op. Like, that might just be of little interest to them this year because of the fact that Warzone, etc. is just doing so well. It's a black hole of player attention and focus, and the fact of the matter is that Zombies has to compete with that if it's going to survive, and I don't know if it can. I don't know. But I don't want anyone to feel like they're just getting kind of blindsided by the fact that there may well be something else coming at the end of this year. It's scary. Like, for me as a content creator, I love making Zombies videos. I haven't done so much of the other stuff. I mean, I might need to start transitioning to Warzone content, and please support me if I do that, because Jesus Christ, it's a scary thing to go from something like Zombies, which is literally a PvE mode, to Warzone, where I'm getting slapped across the face every 5 minutes by people wearing rose skins. But, on the other hand, okay, the devil's advocate for what I've just said is that they basically never specify details about the Zombies mode this early. And I know it doesn't feel early right now, but the investor call is always one of the first times that we really get kind of material information about the game in any capacity. And so it usually isn't the time for them to say, we've got a new undead Zombies mode that's going to be like shocking you all with how gritty and gruesome and realistic it is or whatever. Like, it's not normally now that happens. So there is absolutely room for everything I've said here to not be a worry at all, and for it to just be another Zombies mode. Maybe they're going to continue WW2 Zombies, maybe they're going to do something new entirely. But basically, regardless, everything that I've said in this video, in my opinion, stands, which is that Zombies as a part of Call of Duty is not this wholly essential thing that I think a lot of us kind of assume it is or have got comfortable with it being, that can never go away. It could go away at some point, and when that happens, we need to be kind of ready and prepared for it. And I guess it's just more motivation to embrace the zombie stuff that is there when it is there and enjoy it while it lasts, because we're all Zombies fans at the end of the day, right? So hopefully this video gives you a kind of bit of balance as to what we know about World War II, what we know about WW2 Vanguard, what we also have kind of got rumors floating around about right now, and then also what may or may not be happening later in the year. I just wanted to kind of expand on the topic a little bit, and I'm sure there'll be news and leaks and all sorts of stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks and months, and I'll be covering it, so make sure you're subscribed. Thanks, guys. I've been Mr. Waffles. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.